welcome back to the newest episode of The Closing Table. I'm here with my boy, Ben Hawkins, Cornerstone Home Lending. We got your back on the lending side. Doug Yop with the Oceanaire Realty. We'll help you find it. We'll help you sell it. We'll help you invest in it. Whatever you want to do. Thanks to our sponsors. Pull up a chair. It's The Closing Table. Ben, oh my God, I've missed you. I was out of town at a conference last week, and all I could think of was, I miss my boy, Ben. We don't get to do our show together this week. So we're back, and we're going to make up for lost time. You ready to go?
Let's do it, brother.
Let's do it. Something new. The Carolina Hurricanes have started out 6-0 in the hockey playoffs. Are you following the Canes? Because it's crazy Canes fever in Raleigh right now. What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I watched the overtime victory. Was it not last night, but the night before, I believe, over the Flyers, and that was exciting. They got down. The Canes got down 2-0 to the Flyers early, and then made a dramatic comeback, and then sealed it in overtime. So it was. It's a lot of fun. I'm new to hockey, if you will, as far as just trying to kind of engage in it and understand it. But the Carolina Hurricanes certainly have me hooked, and it's a great product. It's a lot of fun, and the excitement, the energy in the Lenovo Center is just unbelievable. I mean, there's a lot of folks that I know in Wilmington that make the trek up there, even Charlotte, that are making the trek to Raleigh to check out the Canes. So great for the city, great for the state, and super excited about them. They've got a heck of a team.
You know, I've said one of my favorite thing about the Canes is that you get all of these kind of collegiate fan bases who are at each other's throats all year long, and they come together to support the Canes because it's the state's team, right? Kind of like the Panthers. I think it's really cool. You know, the second game of the series against the Philadelphia Flyers was the first time that they've even trailed in the playoffs this year. And yeah, they got behind quick. And it was kind of like, where's this coming from? You know, because they've been dominating, but they got it back. They made it happen in overtime. You're right. The Lenovo, when the Canes are rocking, that's an experience that you really can't get anywhere else in the state. I mean, it is nuts. It is a great atmosphere. Watching hockey in person is so much better than trying to follow it on TV. And while I don't really have the bandwidth to follow the Canes all year long, one of the sports podcasts I do listen to talk about the Canes a lot, so I get some info there. And then, of course, we're following them in the playoffs because North Carolina, baby, come on and raise up. Take your shirt off, twist it around the head like a helicopter. Let's go. All right.
Dougie Pablo over here.
There you go, Petey Pablo, North Carolina. Let's keep it going. You're approved, Ben. We talk about it every week. We're going to talk about it today. What's going on with rates? What's going on with oil?
The 10-year Treasury's up. Rates are kind of holding a bit, between 1/8 and 1/4 from where they were last week. But I mean, it's just not great right now, not ideal, but it's a heck of a lot better than it was a year ago. Still to this at this point, conventional financing, you'll probably find something on a 30-year fix in the mid to low sixes. It's FHA, government, VA rates. You're looking somewhere in the low sixes or even potential high fives. But I mean, things are still not where we want them to be. The thing that gets me, it's at this point, it's not Jerome Powell's fault. He was way too late on cutting initially. But when you have oil as high as it is, and gas over $4 a gallon, inflation's going to take over, and the data needs to be there to cut rates. So they met last week. They didn't cut the rates. I didn't complain because right now it is what it is. We got to get through this Iran stuff. I wish they'd go in and get it over with and quit negotiating. Remember when we said this big statement about we won't negotiate with terrorists? Well, here we are negotiating with somebody that we expect to keep their word, and they haven't kept their word in years. So I don't even know why we're going through the whole hoopla, if we're being humanitarians in that aspect of trying to ease into this thing or ease out. But let's get this over with. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of paying $4 a gallon for gas, and I'm tired of interest rates being overly inflated as a result of it.
You make a great point. I will tell you, though, activity in the market has picked up. Even since we talked 2 weeks ago, you're seeing it. I've got a lot of buyers who have come off the fence and are moving forward. I've got sellers who are realizing that, you know what, we're getting to that point of the year where if I want to be where I want to be in July, August, September, I got to start getting ready too. So sometimes even market factors aren't going to impact people who have to do what they got to do, right? But we'd sure like to see it be more affordable for them. Sounds like, we should have a new Fed chair at the next meeting. We'll see how that impacts. I think a lot of people are thinking that he's going to do something just because of his relationship with the president or what people are anticipating. But then you've got other people saying they're not going to touch it before the end of the year. So as always, we just got to take a wait and see approach. And but I think if we can get this Iran crap wrapped up, that we can get gas coming back down and some other things will equalize.
Right. It's also, you have to realize too, and I think you do, it is the season for home buying, right? So while we're seeing more people, perhaps getting off the fence a little bit, I think it's out of necessity due to the spring season being in full flux. But it's certainly,
I think it feels more like the spring season this year than it has in a couple of years, like a noticeable shift.
But I will say this, though, it certainly isn't where it could be. So that's my
No, that's
point.
for sure. We've seen where it can be. We're not anywhere near that. All right, let's keep it moving on the hunt. The Braves have the best record in baseball. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago. They still do. Don't know how much you're paying attention to it, but it's really nice to see them out cruising ahead of the National League East. Are you paying much attention? I can tell you that I signed up for Braves TV this week so I can watch more games now that the Hornets are over with and I need something to watch at night other than the news or reruns. What about you? You checking in at all?
I mean, I check in, but Major League Baseball, along with NBA, has made it virtually impossible unless you spend an inordinate amount of money on additional streaming services to gain access to their games. It's stupid. I don't enjoy Major League Baseball enough until playoff time to even consider paying for the subscription, even though I have in years past. I think Atlanta, you got to start off hot. You don't have to start off hot. It's about where you finish, but it certainly does help. And, kudos to Atlanta. I think they're kind of in a weaker division this year, if you will. But at the same token, they still got the mighty Dodgers and those multi-gazillion dollar teams out there waiting for them later on in the playoffs. So, I think it's great. If you're a Braves fan, I personally don't have a dog in it, dog in the fight, but, I'm sure you're excited and happy.
Well, tempered expectations. It's just barely May. So we'll see what happens. A lot can happen in the year, but, it's great that the Mets and the Phillies stink. Let's hope that continues, and then I guess we'll have to deal with the Dodgers later on if things keep going well. So we'll see what happens. But let's move into Lock It In, following up on kind of our last two topics, or two of our last three topics again. What do you think is more realistic? The Canes making a run to the Stanley Cup Finals, or the Braves getting to the World Series this year?
I think it's way too early to sign off on the Braves. I agree with you on that. I think the Canes having a shot and making a run for the Stanley Cup is more of a reality because they're already there. They're already there in the playoffs. They're rolling. They're 6-0 right now. I mean, they're really getting it done. And like you said, the first time they had not led the entirety of a game was the other night when they got down 2-0, and we saw how they rebounded, their resiliency. That they fight. So I think because of positioning of where we are in the season, it definitely makes more sense to sign off on the Carolina Hurricanes.
I have to agree with you there. Like we've talked about, still a lot of baseball season left, and we'll see what the Canes can do. I think that most everybody that I'm listening to agrees that once they get past the Flyers, the level of competition is going to bump up significantly. So we'll see, how tough they really are once they get into this next into the next round, hopefully with two more wins. All right, well, let's do some due diligence a little bit. Days on market. Why do days on market still trick buyers and sellers every single time? So everybody's watching days on market like it tells the whole story, but does it really? I don't think that it does. And there are a couple of reasons. First, they changed the way days on market were counted a couple of years ago. So a previous approach to listing a property, if you will, was we would use coming soon, which means it's in MLS. It's out there on the other IDX sites like Realtor.com, Zillow.com, Homes.com, my website, the OceanaireRealty.com, for people to see, but it's not available for showings yet. Because a lot of times They haven't had professional pictures done yet, or maybe measurements. Maybe they're still doing some touch-up painting or clearing out, etc. But it was a way, especially in a hotter market when you expect things to move fast, to get it out there for public consumption. Maybe you go coming soon on a Sunday, and then you open it up for showings the following Friday or Saturday. And then ideally you just get it sold that weekend, right? You inconvenience the homeowners a lot less. You give people time to plan their showing schedule, get in advance, and understand, hey, that we've got a lot of excitement about this property, a lot of eyes on it. People are going to be lined up. That's typically when you might see like 10 or 20 people at an open house on something like that. A lot of people have gotten away from the coming soon simply because now it counts against your days on market, which makes it look like, why has this house been on the market so much longer than its comps? And it's really a misrepresentation, but there's nothing we can do about it other than just not use it anymore. And honestly, in a market like we've been in, where it's more of a buyer's market than a seller's market, there's really no reason to do coming soon. But the days on market do tell a story, and that's typically about pricing. If it's not priced well, you're going to see it towards the higher end of those days on market. And I can almost guarantee, when I look at a property in MLS and look at the days on market without even looking at comps, I can guarantee if it's overpriced or not, and if we're going to have some ability, or should have some ability, to negotiate there based on what the market data tells us. Do you ever hear about it on your end?
Only from my agents I work with. You know, I don't hear it from my buyers or anything like that, unless they're saying, when they're talking about trying to negotiate, they'll say, you know, well, it's been on the market for a while, so we might be able to get a good deal or something along those lines. But that's really the gist of that conversation. I really hear it more from people like yourself, agents that I work with. You know, because I like to keep up with the stats, and you guys are a plethora of information. I would end due diligence on this note. It's very important to listen to your trusted real estate agent. When they tell you what to list your home for, they're doing it based on actual market value comps. They're doing it based off of research, and they know what homes are selling for what, and where it needs to be priced to sell. So always pay attention to your trusted real estate professional. That's what I would recommend.
That's why you hire us, right? You want somebody who knows how it works, right? So trust me, we have your best interest in heart. We're just trying to be honest with you and set expectations correctly up front. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. The market does not care how much money you want or need to make on your home. The market is going to dictate what your home sells for. It's just facts, because it comes down to things like, well, is it going to appraise? Well, if it doesn't appraise, why is somebody going to pay over appraised value? Unless we're in COVID. We're not in COVID. So that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All right, let's keep it moving. Fix this. You know, I love this segment, Ben. Why does every checkout feel like a guilt trip now?
Well,
Grocery
they want to
store,
ask you,
pet store, everywhere.
Yeah, you want to round up and all this stuff. The movie theater does it too. Everybody's doing it. I don't.
The movie theater?
The movie theater, Regal Mayfair does it as well in Wilmington. I'm at the place where if I want to donate to something, I will. Okay, money isn't as free as it once was in my industry. Anyway, maybe some people don't feel that way. I certainly do. I've felt the pinch for the last 3 or 4 years. I don't do it because I don't know how much of that extra change that I'm giving is going to be donated to a cause. I don't know what the cut is that the store receives. I'm not getting involved in that. And it's just like tipping too, the same thing. If I go to Chipotle and they whip me up a burrito and it's like, do you want to add a tip? No, I don't want to add a tip. I'm not adding a tip. You're not serving me at a restaurant. I tip well with my waitresses and waiters when I'm at a restaurant. I tip when it's something that you're supposed to do. But don't try to. Do you want to round up to the St. Jude Children's Hospital today? I feel bad saying no, and they know that, and it's all a sales ploy. But I also will donate to those organizations as I see fit. I don't need you to ask me and prompt me to do it when I'm trying to check out at the grocery store. So, for me, I'm just mentioning St. Jude's. That's a great organization. I'm mentioning that as just an example. Some of them are so vague. They're like, hey, do you want to donate to help kids with cancer? Well, obviously I want to help kids with cancer, but where the hell's the money going? Who's it going to? What percentage is it? Like, don't expect me to blindly say, oh yes, absolutely. Who knows where that money's going? I don't, and I'd like to know where it is. The same way with our tax dollars. We pay an inordinate amount of taxes. We don't know. Well, we do know where the money goes. Fraud, waste, and abuse, most of it. So for me, I built kind of a wall around it. I don't feel guilty saying no. If somebody asks me if I want to round up, I say I already donate to organizations on my own behalf. I don't need to do it through this transaction. So that's my take on it.
And it even sucks that you feel like you have to justify it to the cashier. It's like, come on, it's none of your freaking business. And it's a complete racket. Let's be honest. These companies are using our roundups to maybe make donations so they pay less taxes. That's what it's all about. I mean, give me a break. We know that's the case. So, but I'll tell you, they got me yesterday at the pet store because I went there to buy pet food and I had a $2 credit. And they said, do you want to use $2 to go to the feed the pets? And I was like, well, damn, got me. Anyways, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But let's keep it moving to our counter offer, Ben. We did this segment a couple of weeks ago in our last one. And we're going to run it back today with another song. So if you remember, we talked about the original version of a song or a cover version of the song and decide which one is best. And if you remember last time, it was Venus, the song. Today, I got another classic one for you. Suspicious Minds. Suspicious Minds. Are you down with Suspicious Minds?
I love the song.
All right. Let's take a real quick listen to two artists, Elvis and then Dwight Yoakam, and let's see who gets your vote. All right?
Let's go.
We're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. Why can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I say.
All right, that's Elvis. We can only play so much so we don't get slapped by YouTube. Here comes Dwight Yoakam.
Why can't you see what you're doing to me? When you don't believe a word I'm saying.
All right, I'll cut it off there. Ben, what's your vote? You going with the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley, or what do you think about Dwight Yoakam?
I mean, I like my version better. No, Elvis is the king. I love Elvis. Dwight Yoakam rocked it though. Like he did an epic cover of that song. But I still got to give it to the king. That he made that song wildly famous. And my Uncle Larry used to own a bar called Hawk's Place. It was a bar and a restaurant. And after at 8 o'clock, they would close the restaurant down, clear the tables, and it would be a bar and a dance floor. And every Saturday night, they would play Suspicious Minds for him. And he would get up and rock it out. And that version that was played wasn't the Dwight Yoakam. It was the Elvis version. So I got to go with Elvis out of memory of my Uncle Larry and his dance moves and ability. Larry was a wild man. He'd get on top of the bar and start dancing and carrying on. He was a wild guy, man, but he's great dude. And so I got to go with Elvis out of memory for Larry Hawkins.
Well, that's a great story. I love that. How can you not love that? All I can say is Elvis is definitely the king of rock and roll, but Dwight Yoakam crushed it with his version. And they're both very period specific, right? I mean, you hear the Elvis, that looks like Honolulu on the stage, with the sweat and the lay around his neck, and just out there doing it with the horns and everything. And then you've got Dwight's more contemporary kind of rock and roll. And he's kind of like he's from Bakersfield, California. So he's got kind of that California / Buck Owens country / rock and roll spin on it. So I think it's great. Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one of them. But that's fun. I love this. I love this little thing. So let's keep it going. Getting local, getting real to me, not necessarily local, but local on your Netflix. Ben, I think we talked about it. Did you watch the Hulk Hogan documentary on Netflix?
Yeah, I texted you after I watched it. I thought it was very well done in a time where Netflix can do documentaries that are kind of off the wall in a way. They do some good stuff. They also do some stuff that's wildly weird. But I thought they got it right with Hulk Hogan. It brought me back to the 80s and my childhood. And also it emphasized the profound impact that he had as a cultural icon around the world. It wasn't just for wrestling. It wasn't just for sport. It was for everything. And I left watching that documentary. I was sad because you see these bigger than life athletes out there that transcend all of sports. And then you see them later on in life and they're broken down. They're just broken down. He was hardly able to walk with all the surgeries he had and the back issues, and seeing what he went through. He said, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have used the leg drop as my finishing maneuver because all it did was destroy my spine. I felt sad for Hogan. I also, at the same time, respect what he did in the business immensely. I think he gets a bad rap, but you know what? He earned his spot. It's why wouldn't you be a shot caller in the locker room or behind the scenes with the production team if you were at the level that he was? You should be a shot caller. You've worked hard. You earned it. You're out there drawing the money. So for people that have bad blood about the way that he acted, I mean, Bret Hart will go in on anybody, the Hitman, at any time. He hates Hogan, but at the same time, like Hogan went and took it. And I admire that in business and life. When you want something bad enough and you want to be successful, you go to any lengths to get it within reason, right? And Hogan certainly did. So I left there ready to go join the military after watching that. I was at 44 years old. I'm ready to enlist. I'm feeling all patriotic. And I also, not only with Hogan, but it also allowed me to look at the genius that is Vince McMahon. He truly is a genius. The guy knew what he was doing. He knew how to market. He knew who he was marketing to, and he helped create that character and build that character into what it is. So seeing the combination of the business acumen that it took to do what they did, but also the poise and the perseverance that it took as well from Hogan. And don't forget the other wrestlers too. I mean, they had a part in that in helping create Hulkamania as well, because those other guys had to play along, if you will, with taking bumps and putting him over and all that kind of thing. But I left watching that thinking this was a really well done documentary. I hate that and I also, real quick, Doug, and I'll wrap it up with this. I hate what TKO Sports or WWE, whoever you want to call it, did with bringing him out in Los Angeles, California for his final appearance, which he didn't know at the time it would be, to come out and get booed like he did. That wasn't him selling Hollywood Hogan, NWO bad guy. Those are a bunch of people that just absolutely hated his guts because of politics. And I hated seeing that. He didn't deserve that send-off. Thought it was garbage. And I thought it was very, very poorly done and planned. They had to have known that in Los Angeles, California, he's going to get booed out of the building after he just went, on stage at the Republican convention and endorsed Donald Trump, very passionately, mind you. So I hate the send off that he got. It did. I have since the documentary watched WrestleMania 18 when he faced The Rock. I've watched that match like 7 or 8 times on YouTube now, and the pop that he got that evening. I think it was in Toronto at the Sky Dome, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was unbelievable. He was supposed to be the bad guy, the villain. He should have got booed that night, but the fans saw they recognized what he was doing, and it was nostalgic for them. And I think honestly, I know why he lost. They wanted to, put Rock over, and I get it. Hogan was aging out, but man, if he would have won, the pop in that building would have blown the roof off. So
yeah, you're right.
I love the documentary. I thought it was so well done, and rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea. Thank you for the years of memories in my childhood, and thank you for all you did.
Well, I thought they did a really good job, especially, and you even shared it with me, that juxtaposition of that scene where they spliced the match with Andre and the match with The Rock and just kind of showing the parallels. Bret Hart sucks. All he does is bitch and moan. I never thought he was that impressive. Just boring. Right. He was just basically a precursor of what we have today. He was Seth Rollins before Seth Rollins got here. It's like nothing special.
I think Seth Rollins, but Doug, it's to Seth Rollins' credit. He's 1,000 times more entertaining than Bret Hart. Bret Hart is a lame
I just mean they're no larger than life wrestlers anymore. They're all guys that are they look like guys. I thought it showed a flawed guy, but a really good guy. And it just kind of exposed what we all are. And that's flawed at the end of the day. We're not perfect. We've all made mistakes, but he did a lot of good, put a lot of good out there. People say he never put anybody over. Well, he did. That's false. He put over Savage. He put over the Warrior. He put over Goldberg. He put over Rock. And I watched that Rock match live, and it was, I mean, you get chills just watching the YouTube thing 15 years later or whatever. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So it was a lot of fun. If you like wrestling or just kind of nostalgia from the 80s, you should definitely watch the Netflix series, even just so you get just a little bit of that nostalgia and let it come back to you, because it's just fantastic. But let's keep it moving.
It hits.
Let's keep it moving to our final walkthrough. Ben, this is your wheelhouse, man. The Derby. Holy cow. It was amazing. I mean, from the multiple scratches before they got to the starting gate, then when who was it? Great White kicked his rider off and fell over and had to get scratches. Yeah, and man, I wanted to watch that beast run, right? And to the comeback. I mean, you're the Derby guy, you're the Louisville, Kentucky guy. Give me your spin, and what have your Louisville friends been saying to you about it?
Well, you talk about nostalgia. I've been to the Derby multiple times. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, so you're born into it. But it is a fantastic week, the Derby week leading up to it, and also Derby Day. It's a fantastic week for the sport and also for the community and the city of Louisville. I actually talked myself out of Golden Tempo. I looked at him with 3 or 4 other horses, and I talked myself out because I didn't think he had enough races for me to find him bettable in that manner. Boy, was I wrong. The horse was backed by 20-something lengths in the beginning of the race and just mowed them all down. I also would like to speak to the ride that his jockey had. He rode an incredible race. Let's give the horse a lot of credit, all the credit, but the jockey rode an incredible race. In and out of traffic, bobbing and weaving. They kept him back. The first woman trainer in history to win the Derby. Yeah. That's a big deal in the media. I personally think, it's cool for the sport. I want to focus more on the fact that they just won the Derby than I do that it was a female that did it, or a man, or a black or white or yellow, red. You know what I mean? Let's just focus on the fact that what happened was terrific for the sport. And all the kudos to the jockey and the rider and the trainer, obviously, and the exercise riders and the grooms. There's so many people that go in and pour in to making this happen every single day. There's no days off in horse racing. 7 days a week, those horses have to eat, drink water, have their stalls rebedded, be walked around the shed row or trained by galloping around the track. I mean, my dad owned thoroughbreds for 20 years, so I'm very, very familiar with the sport. I used to work at the track with my Uncle Doug, who trained horses. A lot of people don't know that. I groomed for a good period of time, not a ton of time, maybe like 6 months, helping my uncle with it. And I actually thought at one point about getting into horse training. That's how close I was with the sport.
Wow.
So for me, I always get the Derby nostalgia. It makes me get so homesick. I used to go back every Derby for it, and Luke's birthday happens to be on May the 4th every year. And I mean, obviously, it's every year, right? But the Derby is every first Saturday in May. So the timing of me being able to leave to go back home or be there for his birthday party, it just doesn't work out because I need to be there for my son first and foremost. I am super excited for the times coming ahead when Luke is old enough to go with me and I can share that experience with him. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. But it was a great race. I ended up taking Commandment, which I kind of felt like might have been a mistake. I was between Commandment, Renegade, and Golden Tempo. And naturally, I chose the wrong one. But it paid like 43, went off 21, 22 to 1, something like that. Paid $43 to win. People got paid. If you had the trifecta, you made bank. The exacta, all of it. The payoffs were through the roof. I think the third place horse was like 70 to 1 or something like that. So there was huge payoffs in all the mutuals, and congratulations to the connections, the owners, the trainers, jockey, horse, all of you.
Well, isn't it true too that the horse that finished second place was jockeyed by his brother?
Correct.
I mean,
that is absolutely
and
correct.
you saw them like hug each other while they were, as the race ended or after it ended. Just a great story all the way around. I swear he looked like Cole Trickle in Days of Thunder, cutting through all those horses to get to the front. It was just amazing. It was amazing.
It really was. It was a great day for the sport. And I'll tell you something, too, about Great White that flipped. His jockey got extremely lucky that he didn't flip over and he was still on his back.
Yeah.
The jockey got extremely lucky. But on that worldwide of a stage, they were not going to take a chance with running that horse. Because if something went wrong or something was wrong, they would get absolutely slaughtered, scrutinized, and just absolutely taken to the bank, in which case they should. So they were going extra precautious. And they may have scratched him anyway in a regular race. I mean, it doesn't matter. But they certainly weren't going to take a chance on a worldwide stage like that to run that horse. And I feel really bad for his connections. Think about all the money, the time, the effort. His owners, everybody, all his connections were there, ready to watch the horse run in the Derby. Whether it won or not is irrelevant. They made it that far. They're there to watch. And then, boom, you're scratched out of the race. I feel bad for those folks.
Yeah, I agree. We were saying the same thing watching it together. So we went to, we were in wine country in Charlottesville. My sister-in-law's 40th anniversary. We went and stayed at Albemarle Estate up there. If you've never looked into it, you should check it out. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. Let's keep it moving, though. Brother, it's closing time. So what are you looking forward to, and what are you watching out for over the next week? Me, personally, I'm going to be watching the Canes. Hopefully they wrap up this series against the Flyers and make it to the Eastern semis.
Yeah, I'm watching the NBA playoffs. I do enjoy NBA basketball during playoff season. It's good basketball. It really is. And you see the best in the world doing some amazing things. So I'm still watching NBA pro basketball in the playoffs. They get down to the nitty gritty. I'm also keeping an eye on the price of oil. I want to see this Iran conflict over with. I feel like we should have gone in and got it over with a long time ago and quit negotiating with people that have not kept their word in years. So I'm keeping my finger on the pulse of all that. And honestly, like I'm kind of digressing from a lot of the national news because I can't stand it. Most of it's propaganda anyway. You spin you around, they spin you around one against the other to pit us all to stay in constant chaos. So I'm actually my tennis teams we're wrapping up our USTA spring season. Both of my teams are in first place right now, vying for the state championship. So hopefully we take care of business the next week or so with our matches and keep winning. And we go on to state championships for both of those teams. So I'm also keeping an eye on that.
Love it. Well, on my end, my youngest son wrapped up his middle school soccer career yesterday with a win, which was great. And we've got some more soccer this weekend, but big on the agenda is Mother's Day is Sunday. So for all you sons and daughters and everything out there, make sure you call your mom, send her some flowers, etc. If you got a wife, do it for her too. Respect the people who helped you get where you are in this business. And with that, Ben, I think it's time to get on out of here.
Let's do it, brother.
All right, I'm going to play us off in tribute to Hogan with a little Real American to hit the road. Until we see you next time, this has been the Closing Table. Thanks to our sponsors, Lynn with Ben, Doug Young, Cornerstone Homes Committee, the Oceanaire Realty.